"It's not you, it's me." Her voice trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring the image of his shocked face. She looked away, unable to bear the hurt she knew she was causing. Why did it have to be so hard? He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. It felt like her heart was breaking into a million pieces. Each shard reflected a memory of their time together, each one sharper than the last. She loved him, she really did, but love wasn't always enough. "What are you saying?" His voice was barely a whisper, filled with confusion and a pain that mirrored her own. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to shut out the emotions swirling inside her. The words were stuck in her throat, a lump of guilt and sorrow. Taking a deep breath, she finally met his gaze. His eyes, usually sparkling with warmth and laughter, were now clouded with pain. It was a sight that tore her apart, but she knew she had to be strong, for both of them. His face crumpled, the weight of her words finally sinking in. Her heart ached at the sight. This was the man who could always make her smile, the one who held her hand through thick and thin. Now she was the one causing him pain. She wanted to take it all back, to erase the hurt in his eyes and replace it with the love she knew still burned brightly within her. But deep down, she knew this was the right thing to do. As painful as it was in this moment, it would be better for both of them in the long run. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words and the ghosts of their shared dreams. It was a silence that screamed louder than any argument, a silence that spoke of broken promises and shattered hopes. She watched as he struggled to process everything, his emotions a whirlwind of confusion and pain. And with each passing second, she felt a piece of her own heart break even more. I need to find myself." The words came out in a rush, tumbling over each other in their haste to escape. It was the truth, or at least part of it. She did need to find herself, to rediscover who she was outside of their relationship. She had grown so much in the time they'd spent together, but somewhere along the way, she felt like she had lost a part of herself. Her dreams, once so clear and vibrant, now felt distant and faded. She needed to chase them, to pursue her own path, even if it meant doing it alone. "I can't be the person you deserve right now," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Not when I haven't figured myself out." It was the hardest thing she had ever said, but also the most liberating. Because for the first time she was acknowledging her own needs, her own aspirations. And in doing so, she knew she was taking the first step towards finding her own happiness, even if it meant leaving him behind. He nodded slowly, his eyes filled with a sadness that mirrored her own. He understood. Not completely perhaps, but enough to let her go. And in that moment of shared understanding, she saw a glimmer of hope for the future. They would both heal, of that she was sure. They would move on, find love again, perhaps even find their way back to each other someday. But for now, this was goodbye. A bittersweet ending to a chapter in their lives that had been filled with so much love, laughter, and growth. As she turned to leave, she allowed herself one last look at him. His gaze held hers, and in that silent exchange, she saw a promise that they would always cherish the memories they had made, and that they would always care for each other, even from afar. And with that, she stepped out into the unknown, her heart heavy with sadness, but also with a newfound sense of hope and determination. She was free to find her own way, to chase her own dreams. And she knew, deep down, that this was just the beginning of her story.